beautiful city of Rome, Italy, where Claudio, a famous businessman, arrived at his company's tall building as usual. As soon as he entered the elevator, his wife Lena called him. Claudio smiled and picked up the phone, but while they were talking, the elevator light suddenly flickered and within seconds, the lift stopped between floors. The trap and escalating frustration? Claudio, panicking, told Lena he was trapped in the elevator. Lena, however, wasn't paying much attention, continuing with her mundane daily conversation. Angered by her indifference, Claudio hung up. He immediately contacted the building security team, who promised to check the lift in a few minutes. Time passed, and Claudio remembered his important meeting. He called his assistant Sarah, who confirmed the clients were waiting and becoming restless. Claudio told her to ask them to wait a little longer, assuring her he'd be there soon. Meanwhile, Claudio heard footsteps outside. He shouted for help, but there was no reply. Sarah called again, saying the clients were very angry. This made Claudio furious, and he began aggressively hitting the elevator doors. He then pressed the emergency button and demanded the number for the repair crew working on the roof. While he was talking, he heard a scream from the other end, as if someone's life was in danger, and the call disconnected seconds later. With no other option, he took off his jacket and tried to force the elevator door open himself. After much effort, he managed to open it slightly and yelled, but there was still no answer. He thought all his employees must have gone home. In a mix of anger and anxiety, he pushed the door harder, but it wouldn't fully open. His patience was wearing thin. The onset of the apocalypse? Just then, Lena called again, but this time her voice was trembling. She frantically told him an Ajeeb Admi, strange man, was pounding on their front door. Frightened, Claudio immediately told her to call the police. Lena fearfully replied that no one was answering the emergency lines. Claudio calmed her down and told her to stay quiet in her room. He then immediately called his driver, instructing him to go to his house at once and ensure Lena's safety. A little later, Lena called again, hysterically reporting that the news was filled with reports of people going mad and attacking each other, as if they were all zombies. Claudio tried to reassure her, saying it was just media exaggeration and to stay calm, as the driver would arrive in minutes. Lena took a breath of relief and asked him to keep calling her. As soon as the call ended, Claudio checked the news on his mobile. Suddenly, he heard people screaming outside. Peeking out, he saw many people running for their lives. A woman approached the lift, desperately trying to get in. She turned out to be Claudio's ex-girlfriend. Claudio tried to pull her in, but then a group of people grabbed her from behind, and within moments the woman cried out in pain as they attacked and killed her. Claudio was in shock. Trembling with fear, he slowly peered through the door again. Suddenly, two zombies appeared before him, trying to squeeze through the narrow gap. Claudio was terrified, but a scream nearby distracted the zombies, and they ran toward the noise. Loss and despair. Stunned by the horrific sight, Claudio anxiously called his driver again, urging him to head to Lena's house immediately. During the call, however, he heard a sudden strange noise like a car accident, and the line went dead. Claudio was devastated. His mind was consumed with worry for his wife. A short while later, the security guard called. He said the repair crew on the roof wasn't answering, so he was going up there himself. Claudio yelled, warning him to stay in his room because the entire building was being attacked by zombies. The guard ignored him and opened the door to the roof. Seconds later, a scream of agony reached Claudio through the phone and the call was cut. The elevator panel suddenly went dead. Claudio realized his safety was entirely in his own hands. He tried calling Lena, but she didn't pick up. Claudio feared she might not be alive. First fight and a temporary ally. Just then Sarah called. As Claudio picked up, he saw his ex-girlfriend, now a zombie, stumbling toward him. Claudio fell back in terror. Regaining his composure, he grabbed the elevator rail and repeatedly struck his ex-girlfriend. Within seconds, he managed to kill the zombie. After the fight, Claudio cleaned himself with a water bottle and pushed the zombie's body away from the door to minimize further danger. To calm his mind, he tore pages from his workbook and spread them on the floor to soak up the blood. He then heard a voice and immediately hid. Peeking out, he saw his female colleague, visibly terrified. Claudio calmed her and asked her to help him pry open the lift door with the rail. After several attempts, they opened the door a few centimeters, but the rail slipped and a loud clang echoed through the floors. The colleague panicked and ran away. A ferocious zombie lunged at Claudio, attempting to get inside. At that moment, the colleague suddenly returned and hit the zombie with a golf club, killing it instantly. Claudio was impressed and amazed by her bravery, but the relief was short-lived. More zombies arrived and attacked the colleague. Claudio could only watch the horrific scene in silence. A glimmer of hope and a new heartbreak. Distressed, Claudio checked the news on his mobile. Soldiers were deployed all over Rome. Worried, he called Lena again. This time, Lena answered. They both sighed in relief, hearing each other's voices, but the joy didn't last. Lena told him several crazy zombies had broken into their house. Claudio immediately told her to pull the cupboard against the door to block the entrance. After doing so, Lena asked what she should do next, but Claudio didn't know what else could be done in that situation. Suddenly, the sound of a door being smashed came through the phone. Claudio's heart raced. A moment later, he heard Lena scream, as if someone had grabbed her, and the call disconnected. Claudio broke down, crying. His heart pounded. He knew only time would tell if Lena was safe, or if she too had become part of this terrifying disaster. Further loss and desperation. A while later, faint noises were heard in the building's long, desolate corridor. An employee cautiously approached the lift, saw Claudio and fearfully asked what was happening. Claudio said he didn't know either and advised him to flee immediately. As he spoke, more zombies appeared at the end of the corridor. Seeing their strange, terrifying movements, the employee turned and ran. Hours passed, and Claudio was nearing his breaking point. He yelled to attract the zombies, wanting to vent his rage on them. But the zombies backed away, hearing another sound. Claudio then spotted his assistant, Sarah, trembling with fear, at the far end of the corridor. All the zombies' attention shifted to Sarah. Sarah ran into a room but couldn't secure the door firmly. Without thinking, Claudio threw his watch with all his might, trying to distract the zombies. But they ignored him. Within seconds, the zombies burst into the room and killed Sarah. Sarah's death was another major blow to Claudio. The soldier? Dejected and hopeless, Claudio watched the news on his phone. A live report was playing, stating that the police were trying to contain the zombie attacks across the city and advising people to leave Rome immediately. Hearing the noise, zombies came near the lift and tried to force their way in through the doors. Suddenly, the building's power went out, plunging the lift into darkness. Seconds later, there was a loud shotgun blast. Claudio saw the zombies fall one after another. He thought it must be a police officer. With fear and hope, he shouted loudly. Soon, an elite soldier appeared in the darkness. The soldier said he had lost contact with headquarters, and his entire team was killed. Claudio's heart pounded, but before he could speak, he saw a zombie getting up and moving toward the soldier. He immediately warned the soldier, who reacted instantly and quickly shot the zombie with his shotgun. The soldier then tried to open the elevator door to free Claudio, but the lift was jammed. The door wouldn't open. The soldier looked at Claudio and asked if there was any other way to open it. Claudio said they'd have to go to the roof and start the generator to restore power and get the lift working. The soldier introduced himself as Marcello, gave Claudio a walkie-talkie to guide him, and also gave him a pistol, explaining how to use it. The ascent to the roof. As Marcello left, Claudio heard gunshots in the distance and asked him over the walkie-talkie what was happening. Marcello reported encountering 4 zombies but said they were no longer a threat. On the 9th floor, Marcello reported that furniture was blocking the stairs, making the roof inaccessible. Claudio then remembered that construction was ongoing on the 9th floor, and there might still be temporary scaffolding and ladders outside. Marcello found the platform in a room and prepared to cross the zombie-filled area. Soon he found a way to the roof. Claudio warned him about the previous attacks and told him to be very careful when opening the door. Finally, Marcello reached the power panel and restored the building's electricity. Final confrontation. As the lift reactivated, Claudio saw that the door was still being held shut by something. Curious, Claudio turned on his mobile flashlight to inspect the door area. Before he could figure it out, a zombie suddenly emerged from the darkness and lunged at him. Claudio backed away in terror, immediately pulling out his gun and firing. The initial shots missed, but one finally hit the zombie's head, and it dropped to the floor. The loud gunshots echoed across the floor, and soon more zombies gathered at the lift door. Seeing so many together, Claudio's fear intensified. Marcello's voice came through the walkie-talkie. Claudio, stay calm, focus. Claudio gathered his strength and one by one fired at all the zombies. After a brief fight, all the zombies were on the ground. But when Claudio looked down, his breath hitched. The faces of the dead zombies were now clearly visible. They were his office colleagues. Heartbroken, he stood there for a moment. Marcello tried to console him on the walkie-talkie. "Claudio, pull yourself together. These are no longer human. They are just monsters in human form." Before Claudio could reply, a loud scream from Marcello suddenly came through the walkie-talkie. Claudio was terrified, unable to comprehend what had happened. Seconds later, dreadful growling noises started coming from the other end. Claudio's heart sank. He realized Marcello had likely fallen victim to the zombies. Claudio was now completely alone, surrounded by silence and the fear of death. He tried to calm himself, reassuring himself that everything would be all right. He looked at old photos of his wife Lena. Tears welled up as he looked at the pictures. A new dawn. At that moment, gunshots were heard outside. It was a rescue team rushing into the building, shooting at zombies. A ray of hope ignited in his heart. He tried to shout and call out to them, but his voice was lost in the gunfire and noise. By nightfall, Claudio had lost the will to live. He was exhausted, physically and mentally. He felt it was all over, there was no way out. In his fear and despair, he began to scream loudly, which attracted several more zombies to the lift. With trembling hands, Claudio picked up the gun and pointed it at himself, facing the zombies. Tears in his eyes, he was about to pull the trigger, when he suddenly heard Marcello's voice. Claudio was shocked. Marcello had somehow managed to save himself and climb down the steel cables above the lift. Claudio immediately grabbed an iron rod nearby and opened the lift ceiling hatch so Marcello could enter. As soon as Marcello jumped in, he wasted no time and began firing his shotgun at the surrounding zombies. The zombies were quickly eliminated. Both men fell to the floor, exhausted, injured, and broken but alive. Claudio hesitantly asked Marcello what had happened upstairs. Marcello slowly replied, "I barely escaped from those zombies, but one bit my leg." They both knew there was no hope of getting out now. They sat on the floor, contemplating their final moments. A few minutes later, Marcello's breathing became heavy. He coughed violently. Then, in a weak but clear voice, he said, "Let me lay down for a while and listen. When I pass out, shoot me twice in the head." Claudio refused, but Marcello said seriously, "If you don't do it, I will do it myself." Claudio was devastated by Marcello's condition. He tried to stop the soldier, but Marcello was losing control. He suddenly pushed Claudio hard and angrily punched him in the face. After all the effort and stress, Marcello grew weaker and gave up the fight. Hours later, the whole city was deserted. Almost the entire population of Rome had been killed by the terrifying zombies. Marcello's condition in the lift continued to deteriorate. Claudio watched as his friend became fully infected. His skin changed color, his eyes turned red, and he had little control over his body. Pus started oozing from Marcello's wound, and his body began to transform completely. He had become a full-fledged zombie. Without warning, he suddenly grabbed Claudio. In his fear, Claudio accidentally shot himself in the leg. He then regained his composure and shot Marcello, forcing him back. The situation was serious, so Claudio, as a last resort, shot Marcello in the head. Claudio used his tie to make a tourniquet on his leg, stopping the bleeding. However, his pistol was now out of ammunition. He picked up Marcello's shotgun and faced the zombies. But the shotgun's recoil slammed him against the wall, and he lost consciousness. Freedom? Claudio woke up to the sound of people shooting. This time he didn't scream for help, he just watched the corridor silently. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was an unknown number. When he answered, he heard the voice of his wife Lena. Lena said she had been rescued by soldiers. Claudio was overwhelmed with emotion hearing her voice, but as they were talking, his mobile battery died, and the call was cut. A new will to live surged within Claudio. He used the rail to try and open the elevator door again. He then climbed onto Marcello's body and saw the object that had been jamming the lift. He removed it. He was finally free. Preparing his gear, Claudio stepped out. In the building's corridor, he saw all the dead bodies of those he had killed. Walking on, he noticed one zombie was still alive, but its legs had been severed. Since his shotgun was empty, He used his feet to crush the zombie and finish it off. Stepping outside, he was stunned by the city's destruction. As he walked, he saw food near a zombie. As he reached to pick it up, he realized the zombie was still alive. He slowly began to back away. Just then, someone shot the zombie. Claudio looked at the ruined city around him and leaped with joy. He saw soldiers everywhere. He pointed to his location and sighed in relief, thinking he would finally see his wife again. The movie ends here,